The Collen Mashawana Foundation marks the 12th anniversary this month. Driven by Christian values and giving and compassion, the NGO strives to restore hope and the dignity of the elderly persons, people living with disabilities, as well as child-headed homes. Now, during the 12-year period, it has donated 400 homes. Joining us now to revisit this journey is entrepreneur and foundation founder, Dr. Collen Mashawana. Dr. Mashawana, thank you so much for your time and for joining us this evening. You are synonymous with building homes for many of underprivileged people across the country. What motivated you into initiating this project and now 400 homes later for the needy?
Good evening, Katleho, and thank you for having us. We have been in different communities, as narrated by yourself, for the past 12 years, working tirelessly in improving the living conditions of the elderly people, child-headed families, and people that are living with disability. And I think growing up in a disadvantaged area myself, and having to experience growing up with limited access to basic services is one thing that really motivated me to then say I should start an organization that can get involved in working alongside government to improve people's lives.
I mean, you mentioned that it's the elderly and those living with disabilities, and I'm sure there are millions of those people that are in need of homes. How do you identify those that are truly in need of the housing that you provide to this underprivileged population?
Katleho, the reality is that the different circumstances and inhuman living conditions that people face, it's witnessed by everyone in the community. So in every community, there's always that one or that two families that are really living in worse conditions compared to the rest in that community. So we have created a platform and made this a lifestyle, open our door for people to be able to reach out to us from all 9 provinces across South Africa, to be able to notify us of these elderly citizens that are living in inhuman conditions. So people contact us through social media, they write to us, they contact our offices, because they've got to know that for the past 12 years, there are people who are working tirelessly to be able to assist in such situations.
And I can imagine that even in such situations, there have been a number of challenges that you have come across. Just talk to us about some of those hurdles that you've had to overcome over the years.
I always say with the work that we do as the Collen Mashawana Foundations, there are a lot of non-profit organizations that are doing as much work as we do. And there are so many active citizens in South Africa that are committed to doing their bit in attempt of improving people's lives. And our challenges are very common, and they're very similar in a sense that most of us are self-funded. So the Collen Mashawana Foundation for the past 10 years has been a self-funded organization. We really opened up our doors only 2 years ago to start working with other sponsors and other funders. So, and it's only now that we are celebrating 12th year that we find different partners like the Cash Build coming on board and try to sponsor us with building materials and so on. But funding and access to resources is the main challenge that NPO faces. But in the work that we do as well, in terms of building homes, you find that in most areas where we have to build homes for the beneficiaries, there is very limited access to land. You find that we are assisting an 80-year-old that's currently living in a dilapidated shack that is falling apart, and that shack it's in the middle of some informal settlement. So for us to be able to assist that elderly person, we need to move them from that informal settlement, move them to an area where there's access to services like water, sewer, and electricity. It is extremely difficult for us to have access to to land. So that becomes the second and second most challenge that we face as the foundation. Those are the issues that we have tabled with different stakeholders, and we are hoping with the awareness we'll be able to overcome such challenges going forward.
I mean, you do speak of being self-funded and using a lot of your own funds, but where do you raise some of these resources from in order to build these structures for people? I mean, you speak now of some of the collaborations that you have, but in the past, how have you been able, has it been from the former businesses that you have that are bringing in resources in order for you to be able to assist communities?
Being active myself in business, I am a chairperson of an investment company called AfriBiz Invest, which is an international investment company that specializes in infrastructure development. So we are already, as an organization, involved in infrastructure development across Africa. We are also involved in the UAE in this line of business. Hence, it was quite easy for us to identify as the foundation a room for us to get involved in providing clean water, access to clean water in different communities, and also building homes and so on. So we've always asked shareholders for the little bit contribution that we could get from those different entities, and that's what they've done for the past 12 years. We also have other partners, other subcontractors, other suppliers as well that could be involved in our value chain that have always came on board to assist us.
Speaking of that, how important is it for private businesses that operate within social or certain communities to have a social compact in terms of what they give back in the communities that they make profits from? What's your take on that?
I think in South Africa, giving has not been made as fashionable as it should be. It has really come down to that part being just a compliance and a tick in the box for many, especially private companies. And I can attest to that because I relate and engage with a lot of people in the private sectors who have seen the type of work that we do, who are aware of many other NPOs and NGOs that do similar work in different communities. And many private companies are very hesitant in assisting, and they do not prioritize community development. So, I really pray and look forward to a time where we can make assisting a stranger, assisting that orphan or child-headed family, and assisting people that are living with disability, assisting the elderly people become more fashionable. I mean, during COVID, we saw a bit of that where a few people tried as much as they could to provide food relief in different communities. But I can promise you now, Katlego, there's so much more we can do as South Africans compared to what we are doing at the moment.
Because a lot of the times we rely on government to be the sole provider of some of the social issues that we have within our communities. But as we come together by business and the public sector, surely there's more that could come out of such things. Let's quickly just touch on the impact that some of these homes have. Of course, providing a shelter, having a home for a child-headed household does wonders for anybody that is in need of such a thing. How much more of an impact have you seen within these communities, within these families, when you walk away having done those structures for them? It's so much fulfilling for ourselves. It gives so much contentment for ourselves, and I always say to a number of people that it's extremely addictive. Once you start giving, before the impact that it does to the next person, the impact that it does to yourself, it's something that cannot be explained. And I always say, unfortunately, I don't have enough money. If I had enough money, I would quit business and focus strictly in just the philanthropy journey. But what it does to the recipient or the beneficiary, dignity, it's easily defined by a home, and it's defined by a safe structure.
it's defined by your upbringing, and your upbringing defines and is able to then determine your success as you grow and as you explore your life as a young person growing and so on. So our parents, our grandparents, our guardians, the first priority that they have in trying to raise us is to ensure that we are all raised under a safe home, or under a roof that's safe, a home that's safe. And many parents pass away before achieving that. And many are still building their homes for over 20 years that they started 20, 30 years ago. The people that we assist at age 80, age 90, you find that they are still struggling to finish that home. They're still staying in a dilapidated structure. They're still living in a shack that is falling apart. Obviously, they've done all they could and all that's in their powers to try and have that dignity for their family. So for us to meet such a family and within 6 weeks, give them a new home, a fully furnished home with electricity, water, access to an inside toilet, tiles, ceiling, TVs that some of them never even had or owned a TV, it's life-changing for them. It restores their dignity. It buys them more time. So if it's an elderly person who's 60, they're born to live for an additional 20 years or 30 years because now they have a reason to live for. Their dignity has been restored. But the ripple effect that it has in the entire family, where you then find that the grandchildren can now go to school without mental and social issues. They're able to focus at school. Those young men that are looking for job opportunities, they're able to go in the market and compete fairly and equally to the rest of us who have roof over our heads. So it's an amazing experience that we have seen while we build these homes that we've been building for the past 12 years.
Lastly, can we expect another 400 homes in the next 12 years?
Most definitely. We would like to build more. So we have done in the past 2.5 to almost 3 years, we've done almost 600 homes. We are currently involved in the KZN disaster relief, where we are moving families from the halls and churches, moving them into new homes. We are drilling boreholes throughout the country. We've been to Hammanskraal, drilled boreholes there. We're drilling boreholes in Giyani. We would like to do more than what we have done. And as we celebrate 12 years on Saturday, the 20th of April, we would like to raise more funds. We would like to call upon more partners and more sponsors. It does not have to be money. It can be any form of partnership that will be able to assist us do more than what we are doing to improve the living conditions of Africans in general.
Well, you certainly have done quite a bit, and we certainly do appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.